couple of housekeeping items. This whole presentation will be recorded. Um, the PowerPoint presentation will also be available in the recording. If you do have to step out early and you want to watch the recording again, go to subscriptionschool.com. Subscriptionschool.com is going to be where you can rewatch the webinar in the video section. In the video section, we've got a lot of great webinars from videos that include past webinars to if you go to this older entries to other videos, short little 60-second sessions about launching your subscription business, how to price your subscription box, mastering customer service. There's a lot of really cool videos in this section that you can access that cover a wide range of topics. And across all of Subscription School, I mean, we've got a lot of great resources. So I encourage you guys to come and check out our resources that we've made available on Subscription School, and leave comments and questions under the videos or the guides you're reading. We're doing a lot more work on Subscription School to get you guys a lot more actionable guides. So, for example, if you're looking for more information about custom packaging, or you're looking for more information about customer acquisition, there's some really cool new actionable guides that have just been published this last week or two. And we've got this new really cool effort going on with Subscription School where the whole site will be rebranded, and the content will be much more accessible to you. Next housekeeping item here. I would just suggest, if you are interested in learning more about the stuff we're publishing and when we're publishing stuff, head over to facebook.com/subscription school. Give us a like. We update the page pretty often, usually 2 or 3 times a day, with new guides, new webinar announcements, new video announcements, and we also, always answer people's questions who leave questions on our Facebook wall. So if you're interested in learning more, and you've got some more questions that maybe aren't covered today in the webinar, head over to our Facebook, give us a like, and leave us some questions on our wall, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. We'll also be opening up a Subscription School Facebook group. So it'll be a public group that you have to get approved to get into, but we just launched it yesterday. We've already got 10, 20 members in it. It's going to be a really cool place where you can hang out with other entrepreneurs and subscription box owners, and you guys can share questions and experiences. I'll be moderating the group, so I'll be giving you guys polls from time to time. I'll be finding out what webinars you guys want to have next. So a bunch of really cool stuff. So I would definitely encourage following us on Facebook. And then if you are looking for more videos and you want to get a constant feed, we do have a YouTube channel. Now, this YouTube channel does feed directly into our video feed at Subscription School, but occasionally we will have some videos on here that you might not be able to get access to on subscriptionschool.com for a couple days. This is kind of our medium point where we upload things and then we slowly bring them back over to the Subscription School. So head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe. You'll get maybe an email a week about updated things. We're not very spammy people. So if you're interested in learning more, head over to our social channels, engage with us, and we would be happy to answer your questions and learn more about your business and do whatever we can to help. So last housekeeping item here. If this is the first time you've been in a webinar with us, look to the right-hand side of your screen. You should see a go-to webinar control panel. And so this is where you'll see how long the session has been, and there'll also be a specific area here that says questions. So I see a couple people have already asked questions, but if you do have questions that come up throughout the webinar, this is where you can post them. So you can't chat with the other attendees here. There's about 100 of you here today, but you can post questions to me. And so we'll cover the subject matter today, probably the next 30 minutes, and then I'll try to spend 20, 30 minutes going through your questions. So if you do ask a question, or you've got something that you want to get covered, or you want to have some specific example looked at, post it here, and I will do my best to get to all of them today. Usually we're able to finish in the full hour, but if we do have some questions lingering over, we can probably go 5 or 10 minutes over, and I'll do my best to answer everybody's questions. So it looks like a bunch of questions just poured in, so thank you guys for making use of that. Someone just asked here specifically about the Subscription School Facebook group. If you just go like the Facebook page right now, after this webinar, I'm going to make a post about the group where you can click to request to be allowed into it. So just like this page right now, and then right around 2:30 Central Time, 12:30 Pacific Time, I'll make a post about it on the page, and then you can request access into it if you're interested in joining that. And the people who are going to be moderating it is going to be me. I operate Subscription School. It'll be Amir, the CEO of Cratejoy, and some more of our community organizers that work with Cratejoy. So it'll be a really great place to ask a lot of seasoned professionals some really specific questions. Okay, so let's jump into this here. 3 steps to launch your subscription business. My name is Jesse Richardson. If you didn't already know that, if you want to learn more about me, you can check out my blog, jesserichardson.com. That's me on the left-hand side here. Some of my projects in the past, so you'll know a little bit more about who I am and what I've done, is I'm currently operating a business called Prosperly. It's got a few hundred customers. It's an artisan, local, small batch subscription box. I work with a lot of local business owners in the Pacific Northwest. But before this, I operated a business called Conscious Box that we launched in about 2010, 2011. It was one of the first big subscription boxes, right around the birth of Birchbox. That's a business we scaled up to 40, 50,000 subscribers. Below that, Furball Box was a cat box that I launched. We actually ended up just closing that subscription since we didn't want to deal with crazy cat owners. Escape Monthly was a vacation box. And currently I'm doing Subscription School with Cratejoy. And previous to my subscription box experience, I was an entrepreneur in the content space, and I had a blog called Organic Soul, which I no longer own and operate, but it was a natural health and wellness, holistic living blog that kind of got what kind of served as a precursor to Conscious Box. So that's a little bit more about me. Like I said, if you want to learn more, you can head over to my blog. It's just my name, jesserichardson.com. And there will be some resources I'll mention later in the slideshow that you can get by becoming a blog follower of mine. So you just drop your email in this little pop-up, and I send out regular resources to my followers that I create for my own blog followers that you can get access to, and it's free resources and stuff. Nothing costs money on my blog. So overview. So today we're going to talk about some early action items. It's all focused on the launch of your subscription business. And so in that we'll be talking about getting early adopters. I like to call them founders, or just kind of called founder marketing is kind of the term I like to use. And then we'll be talking about converting your early adopters into actual subscribers. We'll talk a little bit about lead nurturing and what that is and how you can do it early on, and then some specific benchmarks and some specific expectations I think you should have when it comes to conversion rates from your early adopters to subscribers, and conversion rates from landing pages, and conversion rates in emails, that type of thing. So I'm going to be giving you some specifics to, stats to be shooting for in your own marketing. At the end, I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm going to give you a specific assignment for you guys to accomplish in the next week that'll get you the ball rolling for your own business. So if you haven't started it yet, you'll get a very specific ask from me. And then in the Facebook group, on the Facebook page, I always ask people to come back to me and tell me how well they did with the challenge. So that'll be the overview today. The first step I would like to direct you to is just to head to start.cratejoy.com and create a store. So if you haven't yet, if you go to cratejoy.com, it's a marketplace. If you want to start a Cratejoy store, you have to go to start.cratejoy.com, and you'll see this screen. You can start a 14-day free trial with Cratejoy. You don't need a credit card. It takes you like 3 minutes to create the store. If you need more than 14 days, you can tweet it. You can like Facebook share it. I don't know. They give you a couple different options, but it makes it really easy to extend that trial. And so you can maybe get 20, 30 days of free time to basically set up your Cratejoy store. And the reason why I suggest doing this early on is not because I'm necessarily trying to get you to sign up for Cratejoy, but because when you're doing your pre-launch, it's really important to have your store already kind of rolling along. You want us to have the design ready. You want to get really familiar with this platform, so when you do launch, you're not blindsided by a bunch of new tasks. So I suggest doing that. Get into Cratejoy, feel it out, see if this is a platform that you like to use. I've used everything from a custom Magento store to WordPress and Chargeify to a static site using PayPal to Cratejoy. So I've used basically every single option that you can that's available to you now. And in my opinion, the easiest way to launch a subscription business is with Cratejoy. And I don't just say that because I work for them now, but I say that because I've literally experienced the pains of having to custom develop a huge e-commerce site and subscription engine And the work that I have to do now to run my business is so much smaller that I can do it without any real help from a developer, which is great because even though I can kind of do code, it's still kind of a pain in the butt for someone like me, who's mainly a marketer and mainly a writer. So check that out. It looks like we've got some questions about Creature, so I'll just answer them right now. So Donna says, how easy is Cratejoy to use for a novice website designer? I think it'll be pretty easy. That's why I suggest going and starting the free trial and going into their designer section. What you see on the left-hand side is actually the dashboard of Cratejoy. So, I think it's mostly easy. I think you need to be a little bit tech savvy, but if you're going to be launching an online business, you have to be a little bit tech savvy anyways. So it's mostly easy. Like I said, I think it's easier than most things. Hamza said, I've already signed up on Shopify and bought a theme. Would you recommend I switch to Cratejoy, or do you think Shopify can provide the same benefit? Hamza, I would honestly switch to Cratejoy. Shopify is good. I mean, you have some good options there. If you're using the WooCommerce plugin for subscriptions, I have never heard a good experience with that plugin. Um, so, I think that the headache that you can avoid by using a solid platform that you know is going to rebill people accurately, it's going to put your people into the right shipping batches. I would switch over. If you're committed, I would say you can still run a business there. I wouldn't tell you that you can't do it. And Cratejoy is not the only option. I mean, Shopify is a good option in and of itself. But just keep in mind that Shopify was built for e-commerce. Shopify is 15 years old. It's been made for e-commerce stores. Cratejoy is 2 years old and it's been made for subscription businesses. And so when you think about the apps and the integrations and the way that the system was built, this was built specifically with this business model in mind. So it's just something to consider. Um, I'll leave these next couple of questions for the end. But like I mentioned earlier, some free resources. You can get some early resources on my blog. The two resources I offer for free to people is one is a procurement worksheet. And so I have a slightly custom procurement worksheet. If you don't want to become my blog follower, that's totally fine. You can go to Subscription School and head over to the resources section, and you can almost the same product sourcing worksheet. It's mostly the same. It's based off my model that I use for my own business. Mine is a little bit more customized. I have something called a multiplier built into it, where it basically takes the amount of money I spend per box, and then it multiplies it by the retail value. And it tells me how far my dollars are going. So there's some custom things I've built into my own sheet. And the other thing that you can get is my brand invitation. And so I share my business prosperly. It's the first 2 pages of my brand invite. That this is what I use to pitch vendors to get products. So if you're thinking about product sourcing and you're kind of worried about this, these are 2 things that I make available to my blog followers. So it's really easy for you to get started. So you can keep track of your products, and then you have a good example pitch that you can customize and you can make on your own. Obviously, I don't want you to use my exact pitch, but it's just a good example. So if you want that, you can grab it on my blog. It's totally free. I'll send these out tonight to all my blog followers. So, okay. So let's move on here. So I see a bunch more questions coming in too, and so Ronnie and Hamza and Adam, I see your questions. We'll go ahead and answer these right at the end. So just so you know, I do see these come in, and I'm not ignoring you. Okay, so first thing, let's talk about the launch. So the launch is a multi-step process. The process of launching is something that takes over time. It's not going to be a one-day thing. I mean, you can launch these types of businesses in one day. I've done it before, but when you do a pre-launch and when you do a multi-step launch process, the chances of success, your chances of success, are greatly increased. And over the webinar today, we'll talk about why that's so. But basically, it's because you set yourself up with a couple specific goals. Number one is you're validating your idea. If you try to launch on day one, you don't actually know if your product is going to be a good product market fit. You don't know if people are going to really like it. You don't know how many subscribers you're going to get since you don't have any data that shows or illustrates traction. And so you don't know if you really built that anticipation. The number one reason I suggest doing a launch process as a multi-stepped, 1-2 month process is because you can generate revenue to fund your business. So that's a huge, huge, huge thing. And so what I would like to do right now is ask you, what's the biggest thing preventing you from launching this business? And it has specifically to do with why I think a multi-launch process is better. So I'm going to launch a poll. You should see a poll on your screen now. And so the options here are design creative tasks. Is it financial constraints? Is it your time? Is it getting the idea, or is it just the confidence of actually executing your idea? So I'll leave this up here for about 15 seconds, and then I'll take it down. And just while you guys are answering this, let me just apologize in advance. I know I'm a little bit nasally right now. I'm kind of got a little cold I'm getting over, so apologies for that. All right, let me just let you guys 5 more seconds here. It looks like most people have voted. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I'll close the poll. So let me share this with you guys. This is great because your answers are exactly what I expected. Most people don't launch these businesses because they're worried about financial constraints. Um, I'll tell you right now that if you do a pre-launch, you can launch these businesses with spending $0. You might have to front the business $1,000 or so early on if you do custom boxes, and there's a couple other costs associated with it too. But that money can be made back in month 1. And we'll go over how to do that today. So for financial constraints, the 40% of you, that's about 40, 50 people who chose that in the poll that are here in the webinar. Um, I think that's, one of the things that everybody thinks about. And I think that's a perfectly uh, it's a perfectly acceptable reason why you might not have launched this business yet. But after today, I'm going to give you a specific blueprint to launch your business without actually having to spend any of your own money. Or if you do have to spend any of your own money, you make it back within the first 30 days. When it comes to time and commitment, compared to other businesses, I think that you guys will find that these types of businesses are actually a lot easier to run compared to a content engine, or compared to a traditional e-commerce store, or compared to freelancing even. The time and the commitment, I think you can get down if you do enough automation early on, and we'll talk about that today as well. For designing creative tasks, that was the biggest thing that prevented me from launching my current business, because I'm not a designer, I'm not a creative. I can use Photoshop, but I'm not very good at it. I think that with this, there's a lot of really good options for hiring freelancers for really reasonable rates, and also that if you don't have the funds to do that, or you don't want to do that, I think that what I've found is, given the hundreds of subscription businesses that now exist, maybe even thousands at this point, I've seen a lot of really successful subscription businesses who do not have beautiful designs, and so don't worry too much about the design and creative. It's more about the idea, the appeal you can provide to your market. And you can get lots of subscribers without having the most beautiful website. You don't have to have apple.com to have a successful subscription business. So for those of you talking about getting the idea, today will be a good use. We'll talk about pre-launching and pre-launch pages and how to validate your idea. And for those of you who are having launches because of confidence, I think after going through these steps today, in relation to those other reasons on that poll, I think you'll be much more confident by the end of the day. Okay, so let's jump into this. And I have 2 more polls that I'll ask you throughout the webinar, maybe the next couple steps here. So, went ahead 1. Okay, so step 1 here. So let's say you've got some of your ideas in place. You've got some branding, you've got a logo maybe, you've got some iterations of your marketing copy. Marketing copy just means the content, the words that you think are going to be pitching your business. You have a voice established. When I say voice, I think of every brand having a specific personality. For example, the voice I try to emulate with Subscription School is kind of like that knowledgeable older brother, where it's like very approachable, but at the same time, the content that you get is very useful for you. And so that's the type of voice I try to have when I'm writing on Subscription School or providing these types of webinars. It's kind of the personality I hope that brand embodies. And so you can do the same thing with your subscription business. And so during the pre-launch, the teaser phase, you should have kind of a sense of voice decided. Like, what is the personality? What does your brand look like if it was a person? Uh, Also, your product development should be about 80% complete. And when I say your product development should be about 80% complete, I mean your idea should be about 80% flushed out. So that means you should have an idea of, maybe how many products you have in the box, what those products look like. Maybe you should have some brands chosen. Maybe they're not going to be in your box, but you've chosen them because you think they're representative of the types of products you'll have in your box. But basically, your brand, or your product rather, it's been developed almost all the way. And the reason why it doesn't have to be 100% in this phase is because this phase is for testing. So you don't have to get a fully perfect page up necessarily. Excuse me, to do a pre-launch, you can get a pretty basic page up. Um, this phase should launch about, or this phase should take about 1 or 2 months. So it's about a 30 or 60-day period where you're just gaining this initial interest. Okay, so what are the goals of this phase? Number one is to validate that idea. Is to experiment with your marketing. See how Instagram's working for you. See how Facebook's working for you. See how well you're doing at your email marketing. But really, the idea is to say, how receptive is my community to this concept that I've built? If I have a vegan subscription box, how well did this idea market to vegans on social media or whatever channel you've chosen? Now, once you've started experimenting with that marketing, the result of that marketing is going to be collecting that initial interest and building that initial anticipation. And so the real goal of this phase is really to that third bullet point there on the bottom, is to build anticipation, to get yourself a big list of interested people and to get them really, really excited about buying your product. Um, I call this a pre-launch phase, and what I like to say you should be using during this time is a pre-launch page. And so a pre-launch page is a single static web page that has basically one call to action where you try to get people's email addresses and you would somehow incentivize them to join your mailing list, and you give a good pitch for your product, and you show that your brand has kind of been built out. You kind of show that 80% completeness. And so what a pre-launch page looks like is this. This is example number one is Yogi Surprise. So this is my buddy's business that he launched about a year and a half ago. It's a yoga subscription box. So you can see here, there's no box in this photo. There's no custom subscription box. There's not even a product in this photo. But what you do have is a completed brand. He's got the Yogi Surprise. He's got a color chosen. He's got that nice purple text. You can see it's a pretty basic font. But he made something kind of special with the Y's and exclamation points. So the brand mark is pretty cool. It's interesting. It has a tagline, this 3 or 4 words that describe what the product is going to be. It's kind of a yoga retreat in a box, or in this page they use the words a yogi inspired monthly surprise. Um, and then there's a short reason to care. He's got one sentence on this page. Whether you're a wellness enthusiast or a seasoned yoga master, Yogi Surprise is the perfect complement to your healthy lifestyle. Now, compliment should be spelled with an E there, not with an I, but you get the idea. So there's that reason to care. And then there's the call to action. There's only one thing that you want people to do on this page, is to get invited. And it's all you want is their email address. And so there's the incentive there on the bottom, win a lifetime subscription. So the way that Yogi Surprise did this, and also the way that I did it with my launch page, which will be the next example, is we incentivize people with lifetime discounts and lifetime subscriptions. So at the end of our pre-launch phase, that 2-month period, we gave away one lifetime subscription that we continue to fulfill each month. So you might ask yourself, well, Jesse, that's crazy. Is that worth it? A lifetime full of boxes? I can just tell you right now, it's totally worth it. So number one, if you don't launch your business and you don't have, or you do launch it and you close it in 3 months, you're not obligated to send that person product for the rest of their life. First of all. So second of all, if you're spending $50 a month, let's just say maybe it's $20 a month in product and shipping, and that increased your initial conversion rate on your launch page by 5-6%, and it immediately helped you gain 100, 200, 300, 500 subscribers. It'll take a lifetime for that customer acquisition cost to not become positive. If it costs you, 10 years of sending $20 a month, and so you're sending out, 240, you're sending out $2,400 worth of boxes over a 10-year period, but that $2,400 got you 1,000 customers. That means you only really paid $2.40 per customer by adding that lifetime incentive. So when you think about incentivizing people, don't be afraid to do something like that. I've had a lot of people tell me like, oh, I don't want to give away a lifetime subscription. It seems too expensive. It's definitely not the case, especially if you execute it well. So my example is here, quite different. This is the Prosperly page, and so you can see I have this other little tagline, food, friends, and thought. I've completely moved away from that tagline. Same with the other tagline, ingredients for a happy life delivered. I've completely moved away from that tagline. My tagline now is a farmer's market in a box. And so it's a completely different tagline. Now I do have my font face. I have a text logo that's been established. I've kind of got some branding. I've got a color, this kind of bright orange color that I've used. I eventually made the custom box that I printed that same orange color. And so you can see here, with both these examples here, there's about 80% of product development done. We've got logos, we've got colors chosen, and we've also got these little taglines, and we've got these little descriptions that basically say what the product is. With mine, the brief description is every month you'll discover an artisan crafted delicacies, handmade bath and body essentials, and inspiring ways to have fun with friends and discover new ideas. We've been called the most thoughtful subscription you could ever have. So mine's a little bit more wordy. What's interesting is this page that you're looking at right now converted at about 22%. So about 1 in 5 people who hit this page gave me their email address. The Yogi Surprise page was about 17%. So it's about roughly the same, but it's more about 1 in 6 people. So both were really high conversion rates, and both were really successful at doing pre-launches. Jameson got about 2,000 emails from this. I got about 800, 900 from it. And we both launched our business with a good grip of a couple hundred customers. So those are the two examples. If you want to take screenshots of these, you can hit Shift Command 4 or Shift Command 3 if you're using Apple or Mac. And then you can hit Shift Print Screen, I think is what it is on PC, and you can take screenshots of these. If you want more information about them and doing this pre-launch and looking at these examples, if you go to the customer acquisition section of Subscription School and you go to the setting up a pre-launch for your subscription business, there's a same screenshot. So just in case you don't have the screenshot tool or you missed it, there's a guide here that talks specifically about it, and I show how I created it in all this more detail. Okay, so setting up the pre-launch page, you're going to want to use some resources. I suggest using SumoMe or some type of opt-in, something for gathering leads. If you are using a launch page, like the ones that James and I use for Yogi Surprise and Prosperly, I would suggest using LaunchRock. We do have some launch pages coming with CreateJoy. I've been saying this for about a month and a half, 2 months now, and I don't know when those launch pages are actually going to be created, but I've really been pushing for you guys that CreateJoy creates a native launch page feature, so you can start your CreateJoy trial, design your launch page, and then launch your launch page and start to gather those emails there. After this webinar, I'm going to follow up and I'm going to figure out where that project is at because I think that would be the easiest way. LaunchRock is good. I use LaunchRock. It's just a LaunchRock theme you see, and then Yogi Surprise also used LaunchRock. Their LaunchRock page was completely custom, so a little bit different than mine. I used a theme, but if you are kind of waiting for 2 or 3 more weeks, you're still developing your product a little bit, I might suggest holding off on the LaunchRock page and waiting for the new CreateJoy theme. The next tool I suggest using is MailChimp. So MailChimp is that little monkey face on the left-hand side. MailChimp is where you can import all of your email subscribers. So the reason why you're going to want to use MailChimp is while you're collecting emails through your LaunchRock page, you want to be emailing them over the course of your pre-launch campaign. So this is basically called keeping them warm. This is that lead nurturing we were talking about, and we'll go in this a little bit more in the next step here, but this is what you'll use to stay in touch with your subscribers. So step 1 continued is getting traffic and lead nurturing and setting up goals for this phase. So if step 1 part A was actually creating a launch page, step 1 part B is actually getting people to that launch page. So number 1, use some free methods to get traffic. So I would say niche blogger outreach is one of the strongest things that you can do, is you find bloggers who are interested in your specific niche. So maybe it's mommy bloggers, maybe it's wrestling bloggers, maybe it's vegan bloggers. And you create a big list of these people, you upload them to your MailChimp, and you reach out to them all at once. Or maybe you reach out to them individually one by one. It's a little bit more personal that way. And you say, hey, here's my idea. I would love to send you a box once we launch if you can give us an announcement on your blog or on your channel. Same thing, you can do the same exact thing with Instagram ambassadors. So Instagram ambassadors is basically the same thing as saying niche blogger outreach. But you identify 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 Instagram profiles that are in your niche, people who love vegan food. You direct message them, or you figure out a way to contact them and you say, hey, this is my product. I'd love to send you a box once it launches. Do you think you could share this image on your Instagram, or do you think you could shout us out or something like that in exchange for that free box? So even if you don't have a product yet, you can still use third parties to promote yourself. Now, the conversion rate on those third parties will probably be lower than if you said, hey, I can send you a box tomorrow. But I mean, it's worth a shot. It's a free method to get traffic, and it's a really good way to push traffic to those pages. And then obviously you've got organic methods via social. You can hop on Instagram, you can use hashtags, and you can be posting, and you can be following people, and you can be liking and commenting. And by doing that on Instagram and having a link inside your Instagram profile, you're going to pique people's interest, and they're going to click through, and that URL in your Instagram profile will be your launch page, and you can push mobile traffic to that launch page. You can do the same thing on Facebook. Maybe it's a promoted post. Maybe it's just inviting all your friends and family, and then trading some shout outs with some other Facebook pages, or something like that, or getting in some Facebook groups and sharing your idea there and seeing if there's some people that you can access. Maybe it's using Reddit. You find a cool subreddit of a bunch of vegan people and you say, hey, I've got this idea. Let me post it in the subreddit. Make sure you follow Reddit's rules, since Reddit can be it's known to be a little bit more trolly. And when I say trolly, I mean you have a little bit more people who are finicky about what you post in there. But it's another organic method via social, and you can do this on Twitter, you can do this on Pinterest, you can do this on YouTube. You can do a lot of cool things with social media where you don't have to pay anything. It's just your time. It's just your clicks. So whatever method you choose, as you push traffic back to your launch page, you've got to keep your leads warm. And this is what we call lead nurturing. So it's just staying in communication with your leads. So if a month and a half is the amount of time you're doing your pre-launch before you launch, I mean, that's a pretty long time to wait for a product. Now, with the right type of communication and the right type of sneak peeks and cool little messages you're sending, you can make that anticipation much larger, and you can make that wait seem much shorter and much more worth it. So first thing I would do is set a benchmark, limit yourself to 1 or 2 months, because anything more than that, you might start to lose that interest. In terms of traffic converting to leads, I think that you should be shooting for 2 to 5,000 email addresses. The more, the better. Like I said, I launched Prosperly with about 800 or 900 email addresses. But you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you want to launch a big subscription business and this is going to be your bread and butter and how you're going to be supporting yourself and your family or something like that, push yourself to get as many leads as possible. The visitor to pre-subscriber conversion rate on this launch page, so this is the conversion rate that you'd get on these 2 pages here, that should be about 10 to 20%. I think if you're at 10%, you're beating out 50% of other LaunchRock pages. LaunchRock suggests 7 to 10% as the conversion rate. I think that's a little bit low. So I think you should shoot higher than that. Like I said, Prosperly got to about 22%. Yogi Sprites at about 17%. And I don't think that our designs and our branding is really exceptional. I think they're both really good. I think we spent time on it and we made it look nice. But do I think this is an exceptional landing page? Not necessarily. I think that anybody can make something this good. And so because of that, I would suggest kind of holding yourself to the same benchmark. And you want to hold yourself to that benchmark for a couple of reasons. Number one is if you get a conversion rate around 5%, then there's probably something wrong with your launch page. You've got to change the colors. You need to change the imagery. This is a good indication of how many people will convert to subscribers. And so you want to push yourself to get a high conversion rate on that launch page so you get a high conversion rate of subscribers. Because if you have 5,000 emails, that doesn't mean you have 5,000 subscribers. A percentage of those people are going to be turned into your actual subscribers at the end of your launch. So step 2 is after you've done this pre-launch phase, you're going to actually start taking subscribers. Now, I don't really call this the launch yet because you're still not really in the process of setting up product yet. This is kind of like the intermission, kind of the intermediary phase of pre-launching and then actually being officially live as a business. But at this point, I mean, it's no more teasing people. It's actually time to take subscribers. This is when you'll open your Cratejoy store. And so you'll convert that initial anticipation into real revenue. And so for those of you, the 40% of you who said financial constraints are the biggest thing preventing you from doing these businesses, this is where you get that revenue. If you had 5,000 subscribers, or pre-subscribers rather, and you open your subscriptions, I think I give an example of a successful lead to paying conversion around 5 to 10%. If you have 5,000 email addresses, you can probably expect 5 to 10% of those people to actually subscribe to your business. So you're looking at 250 or 500 subscriptions. Those subscriptions have a profit built into them, and that profit is what you can use to make custom boxes or to pay yourself back because you already paid for custom boxes. So this is going to fund your business. This is going to fund buying products for your first shipment. This is going to fund all the tools you need to launch your business, your Zendesk account for customer service, your Xero account for accounting, your MailChimp account because now you have 5,000 emails and it costs you $25 a month. It'll pay for your CrateJoy monthly fee, etc., etc. This initial group of customers is how you're going to actually push your subscription from this kind of post-launch phase or post-pre-launch phase into the real launch phase of having a full-fledged business that you send product out every single month. So the validation is complete. It's time to put the rest of your business together. Your product development should be at about 100% now. You can still kind of tweak with stuff here in the first 30 days, but really you should be ready to convert people, which means your product should be ready to go. You should have spent some time also in this phase to evaluate the product market fit, and you should be testing those conversion rates. So based on those early conversion rates, it's going to give you a good indication of future conversion rates, because future customers are not going to have the luxury of that built anticipation and that lead nurturing, and so they're going to convert at a much lower percentage rate than your pre-subscribers. Like I said, I think a 5 to 10% conversion rate from pre-subscribers to subscribers is pretty good, and what you should expect. You might be able to get more. I got about 15%, but I suggest 5 to 10% to be conservative. A 10% conversion rate for an e-commerce business would be absolutely astronomical. And if you could do that, you would be a genius in the e-commerce space. And that's something to keep in mind. You can't expect your future subscribers to convert at the same rate as your pre-subscribers. They're going to convert at 2, 3, 4%, maybe even 1%. It's going to be much, much different. The last thing you do at this phase is you're assembling this founding member marketing army. And that's what I mentioned earlier, this kind of founders, I like to call them, where you're giving them a special discount and you're making them feel as awesome as possible because of the first ones to early adopt your product. So if we spent 2 months on this page and then we opened up our subscriptions, then you don't ship for still 1.5 months. If you started your pre-launch on August 1st and you pre-launch from August to September 1st and from September 1st to October 1st, your first shipment still doesn't go out until November 1st or November 16th. So it's a 3-month process here we're talking about. So, and the way you skirt around this in terms of expectations is you make sure it's very, very clear to your subscribers. You say, hey, we're officially launched. The first shipment goes out next month. Subscribe now to secure your spot. And if you do that properly, you're not going to get a lot of complaints. These people are already really excited about it, but just make sure that you've built an infrastructure to clearly communicate to people. And then when you do get emails, you answer them quickly, and you make sure that people know what's going on, because if they spent $50 on a box from you, you're going to want to make sure that they can expect a box in a reasonable amount of time. So this is a time that you actually determine your real conversion rate or your true conversion rate. So if you had a launch page that converted at 20% and that gave you 2,000 emails, what percentage of those conversions actually converted into customers? Like I mentioned in the last slide, I expect 5 to 10%, maybe higher, maybe lower. I think 5 to 10% is a conservative and realistic expectation. So I would keep that in mind. So if you're doing the pre-launch phase right now, for example, and you've got 1,000 subscribers, I might expect 50 to 100 subscribers or so out of that list, maybe 150. But that's something to expect in terms of product purchasing. That's going to give you a good indication of how many boxes you need to get ready, how many packing lists you need to print, et cetera, et cetera. And as that 1 month period goes through, and you're on October 15th and you're on October 20th, those are the dates when you're really making final product decisions, when you're making final printing decisions for boxes, and you're making sure that you have just enough boxes and just enough product for your first shipment. So step 3 is the relaunch. This is the time you actually are sending out a shipment. So phase 3 marks the shipment of your first boxes. So you've been live this whole time and you've been accepting revenue, but you still haven't committed to your business really, because during that first month, you could refund everybody. There could be something that happens. It's not really your official launch because you actually haven't committed to an ongoing monthly schedule. So step 3, this third phase, is when you've actually shipped your first month of boxes. So remember those original influencers we talked about and bloggers on an Instagram? This is when you send them boxes now. So you send them boxes, you follow up with your word, you send them free boxes, which they're probably going to shout out again for you, which means extra marketing. You re-announce the official launch to that unconverted lead list. So, those out of those 5,000 emails, those 4,500 or those 4,000 people that didn't convert yet, you re-announce it and you say, hey, our first box just shipped. make sure you get into, next month's box. It's our official launch month. It's our first boxes going out. Maybe you have extra boxes. Maybe you offer them to your lead list, your pre-subscriber list early on for a little bit of a discount, for a discount that you don't offer your new lead list from, your organic traffic actually coming to your real website. What you should have done during this period is you built out your customer service solution. I use Zendesk. Zendesk is basically a portal that pulls in your emails, and it makes it really easy for you to do work through your emails. We've got a great guide on Zendesk in subscription school under the customer service section. You should have identified some areas of improvement. So maybe you fixed up your branding, you fixed up your checkout page, you've made sure that your fulfillment and your packing operations nice and smooth. You've gone through one iteration of all this stuff, so now it's time to start getting really good at it. At this stage too, I would start to consider outsourcing fulfillment. I would check out the resources page on subscriptionschool.com, and getting away from packing and shipping boxes yourself is one of the best ways to focus more on marketing and growing your business. So after month one has kind of gone through and you've experienced what it's like to actually ship and pack boxes, I think getting away from that operation as soon as possible is one of the wisest things you can do. To give you a sense of my experience with that, with ConsciousBox, we did all in-house fulfillment for those 30, 40,000 subscribers. It was an enormous task for us, and it was, we had 60 part-time people coming into our warehouse each month, and it was this huge operation. So I look back at that and I say to myself, I'm never going to do that again, because I'm not trying to be a fulfillment center. I'm trying to be a marketing company. I'm trying to be a product company. So that's something to keep in mind. So those are the 3 steps. And I know we've just covered a lot, and I see we've got like a ton of questions right now. So I'm going to go through them as quickly as possible. But really at this stage is, what are you waiting for? Look at, Shia LaBeouf. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but look at him, look at his face, and look at him saying, just do it. And look at the seriousness of the candor behind that little move he's doing, and motivate yourself to get that pre-launch page up and to just do it. Because even if you do 2 months of pre-launching and you determine that you don't like the idea, you have a crappy conversion rate, your branding looks like crap, and you just decide not to do it, you didn't lose anything. Maybe you lost $15 for a domain, and maybe you lost $15 for 2 months of paying for an advanced launch rock page, and you spent, well, I mean, Cratejoy is a free trial, so you don't even have to spend money there. But maybe you're out $50 or something like that. Maybe you're out $100. To lean test a business for $100 is remarkably cheap, and any real serious entrepreneur would laugh at you if you didn't want to put yourself to that risk. I mean, so there's no real risk in the pre-launch phase, and by the end of the pre-launch phase, you know if you can fund your business. So there's literally no reason not to do this unless you don't honestly want to do it, or unless you can't you can't or you haven't put the time into it. In terms of that, I'm going to give you, this is my challenge. So next Thursday, it's March 17th today. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Aaron go bra. In 7 days, it's March 24th. You should have a store set up. I would like you to go in there, start that free trial with Cratejoy, or for those of you who are using other platforms, make a point to actually build out that store, make it look really nice. Have an idea chosen. You have your product chosen. You've got 80% of your product development done. Maybe you're at 50%. That's fine. I'm only giving you a week, so I'll give you a little bit of leeway. And then have some thoughts about your first batch of items. Do some of those early lifts with product development. Figure out your color scheme. Figure out a logo or a direction for a logo. Figure out some early products. And you can have this little checklist. Have you started your free trial? Did you download the free resources from me or from Subscription School? Did you actually start working on your store and on your branding? If so, then next up, it's time to schedule a pre-launch to get more interest. Now, for those of you, I haven't looked through the questions, but I anticipate that some of you are saying, Jesse, I've already launched my store. Should I do a pre-launch now? Or maybe I have 5 subscribers. Should I do a pre-launch now? Or I don't have any subscribers yet, but I'm live. Should I close my store? I would suggest if you only have 10 subscribers or so and you haven't done a pre-launch, excuse me, or even if you've made your website live and you don't have any subscribers, I would really suggest closing that store down and doing a pre-launch, because the way you're gonna make these businesses successful is to launch them with lots of customers at once. And the way to do that is with a pre-launch. So I would suggest doing that and really spending time on that phase. So even if you started off, as long as you're not at the 50, 100 customer mark, I think that you're okay. So before we go in the Q&A, I'm going to ask you guys 2 more questions. Number 1, have you tried starting a business before? So there's just 3 options here. Let me know what the answers are. I'll leave this up for about 30 seconds. Okay, let's jump back in this. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. Looks like most of you guys have voted. I'll show the results so you can see. So most of you guys have started a business before, so a lot of stuff I covered today should be kind of intuitive to you in terms of branding and getting your product to a good spot. For the 35% of you, 40% of you who haven't launched, I hope today was super useful for you. I think you've got a lot of good ammunition now to launch these businesses. So let me just ask one more question in terms of launching your subscription business. I want to find out where you're at. Okay, so lots of you guys voted here. So I'll go ahead and close this poll. I'll share this poll results for you guys so you guys know who where you guys are at, mutually in the webinar. So lots of you guys are coming up with the idea. Lots of you guys have the idea chosen, starting on early tasks. Some of you guys are pre-launching. So with the pre-launch stuff, I hope you guys have some good new strategies here in terms of social influencers and goals and conversion rates I would expect. For the 7% of you who have launched, that's awesome. I hope today was still helpful for you. And like I said, even if you have launched, you have small amounts of subscribers, if you feel like you learned a lot today and you feel like you would be better at launching now again, I would suggest just go ahead and doing that, because you don't really have that huge of an opportunity loss. I mean, a couple dozen customers, won't be too hard for you to get back with a good pre-launch. Okay, so I asked you guys some questions. Now I'm going to go ahead and answer yours. I'm going to leave these action item reminders up here for a couple moments as I go through these questions. I'll probably click off the screen. So if you do, want to have these 4 little items here in front of you, maybe to take a screenshot. So number 1 question: will this be recorded? Yes, it's being recorded right now, so you can listen to the sound of my voice over and over and over again. Anjali asked, how do we find Subscription School book on Facebook? Oh, right. I'll make a post to the Facebook wall. So head over to Subscription School's Facebook, like the page, and in about 15 minutes, you'll see a little post I guess in about half an hour, because we've got 15 minutes left. You'll see a post that says, hey, click here to get in the Facebook group. Adam says, I built my website in Squarespace for a number of reasons. Is it easy to plug this into Cratejoy? Yeah, Adam, that's a good question. I don't think it's going to be super easy. Maybe on your checkout button, you embed a URL that actually goes to Cratejoy checkout, and then in the Cratejoy account page, the sign out button actually takes you back to the Squarespace page. I might email support at Cratejoy about that. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I don't know it off the top of my head. So what if you have a full e-commerce site and then want to use Cratejoy for subscriptions? Ronnie, I think you're in the same boat. You might be able to create a little Cratejoy portal. You know what I mean? It's a link in your menu bar that says subscribe, and it takes people to a branded Cratejoy site, or it takes people to the sign in page for Cratejoy. And you just have to make sure that all the links on those pages always redirect back to your full e-commerce site. There's not like an app for Cratejoy, so you can't embed an app in your Magento store. You can't integrate your Squarespace or your Magento or your WordPress with a Cratejoy in a traditional sense that you might do it with WooCommerce or something like that. Just as another disclaimer, do not use the WooCommerce plugin. It's terrible. But there's probably an easy way to get around that in terms of just making sure your URLs are pointing in the right direction. I hope that makes sense to you guys. The reason I chose Shopify over Craigslist is because I'm an additional gift item I sell along with my subscription service. Oh, okay, Hamza. That makes sense. I mean, if you guys use some specific things, I mean, like I said, I think there's other options um, than Craigslist. You know, I'm not even as an employee of Craigslist, I'm not like a complete 100% Craigslist evangelist. I mean, I think if you have a better option, you've got an existing store, then use that. And if you can work Craigslist into it, then do so because I think it's the best platform. If you guys are here and you guys are interested in learning more about just launching in general, all this stuff that we talked about today is completely applicable to you. Um, and if you have a platform of choice, I mean, and you love it, don't make it don't feel like you have to listen to me and use Craigslist. Although, like I said, I think down the road, I think it'll be a lot easier. And I would still start a free trial at Craigslist so you can at least test the platform out and get a sense of how it works in contrast to whatever it is you're using now. Because I think you'll find that it's much, much easier. And I had an e-commerce store as a part of ConsciousSbox, and we did about 1,000 times more revenue in our subscription business. So it's just something to consider. I think using a subscription, having a subscription platform as your fundamental business will be more profitable, and it definitely warrants some serious consideration. So where do I get my custom boxes? So anybody that is interested in custom boxes, head over to Subscription School and go to the resources section, and you can go to custom packaging. There's some experts here you can use. I personally use Northwest Paper Box. Kay mentioned she doesn't see the presentation. Kay, you should see it now. It might have been because there was a poll up. Yep, Richard, there will be a recording. Do you recommend getting private labeled items with your own company brand? Hamza, I think that's an awesome idea. I've done that a couple times with Prosperly. I think I've used 3 or 4 white labeled items or private labeled items. Absolutely. I think what you'll find is you've got specific minimums you've got to hit with different cosmetics or drink manufacturers or whatever it is you might be private labeling. So, keeping those minimums in mind, you should keep pricing in mind and get quotes. If you're launching with 500 subscriptions, I think it'll be kind of hard to find a white labeled private item with branding and a logo attached to it for cheap. I mean, you might be able to, but I think it's an awesome idea. What platform do you advise using for EDMS? Daisy, can you let me know what that stands for, or maybe it was a typo? EDMS, Daisy Pattinson. Let me know what that question. If you can re-ask it, I'm happy to answer it if I can just figure out what you mean. Should the call to action include their name with the email? Walter says. So Walter is talking about this. You can see here the email address. Personally, Walter, I think the more fields someone has to fill out, the worse. So I would avoid asking any more. I like to keep it for just one email field. It makes it a little bit, you lose the opportunity to pull in that tag in MailChimp where you can't say, hey, Jesse. You'll just say, hey there, or something like that. But the increased conversion rate, I think, is worth it. So I wouldn't ask for their name. You can if you want to. I would maybe even A/B test it. Vincent says, hello, everyone, and then says, hi, Jesse. And so, hello, Vincent. Hope you enjoyed the webinar so far. Maritza says, does Craigslist have a way to create a teaser page? So yeah, Maritza, this is what I was kind of talking about earlier. I've been pushing for them to do this for like 3 months. I will talk to the product manager again today because I think that they definitely should. They don't currently have one. They have one called Celery or something like that. It's one of their launch pages, although I wouldn't suggest using it because it looks kind of crappy. So I would just use LaunchRock in the meantime. Howard asks, can I get a copy of the slides? Yes, Howard, this will be a part of the video. So when you go to the video section and you click the webinar, there will be a little download link where you can get the full presentation. So for example, if you look at this, you can get the presentation. It'll be presented just like this. It won't be a little tiny URL, and you can click it and it'll give you a PDF version. Have you tested giving a year versus a lifetime in terms of conversion rates? No, Todd, I haven't. I tested a lifetime discount and a lifetime giveaway. The lifetime giveaway worked better than the lifetime discount. Like I said, if you're worried about the cost, as long as you're doing a well-executed pre-launch page, I mean, the worth of the extra conversions is going to be, if your business is in business for 10 years and you end up paying $3,000 to one person, the amount of revenue you've collected over that 3-year period because you did a solid, pre-launch is going to be way, way more than the cost of that one person. About 70% of my initial subscribers are still with my business. They're going on month 11, month 12 of lifetime value, and that's already at like a $450, $500 value for me. So it's like very, very significant. Those people, I don't know if it was just because of the lifetime subscription, but those people really like the brand, and because I got them converted, maybe because of that contest, it's already proven well worth it for me. But I would test it if I were you. So what's the incentive? What's the incentive here? Difficult to read. So the incentive on Yogi Surprise is a lifetime subscription. The screenshot here is a 10% off for life, although I A/B tested this page a bunch, and the other incentive I offered was also a lifetime discount. That's for you, Yale. Um, okay, we already answered that question. Excuse me. Tim asks, besides social media driving traffic to your launch page, besides social media, driving traffic to your launch page seems expensive. PPC seems expensive. I'm paying 15 to 50 cents per click without the guarantee of a lead. Any suggestions? Try influencers. I mean, if you don't want to pay, I mean, 15 cents a click, isn't astronomical. I mean, that's not a really expensive thing. I mean, what I might suggest doing, Tim, is instead of PPC on Google Ads or something like that, use Facebook, and so you can get some extra benefit. Like, for example, if you did a promoted Facebook post with a little mock-up of a box and a little call to action to go to your launch page, you might also get Facebook likes because of that. And so maybe you're getting 15 cents a click on Facebook. I'm doing an ad right now, and I'm getting about 15 cents a click back to my site. But I'm also getting a ton of different. I've got like over 1,000 new Facebook likes this last week too, and so sure, I paid 15 cents a click and they weren't all leads. And so, maybe I'm getting customers about 15 bucks a piece right now, 20 bucks a piece. But first of all, that's not super bad customer acquisition cost. And second of all, I've got this new benefit. I've got this new group of people who now follow my Facebook page, and it makes me make my brand look a little bit more authoritative. So that's what I would suggest. Maybe try Facebook. Otherwise, really try to hit up some good social influencers. So what images do you use on Pinterest or Instagram when you don't have a box? Asks Diane. Really good question. So number one, you can repost people's stuff. That's totally acceptable. Just give them credit. Number two, I might suggest using deposit photos or some other type of stock photo website or Creative Commons. I can show you what this looks like. This is what I use. And so I try to find really high quality, like this photo right here, this little cute little spider. Has nothing to do with my subscription box, but it's just so cute. I mean, look at its little eyes. And so I could totally share this on my Instagram and get a bunch of likes and a bunch of engagement, and maybe it didn't push people to my launch page. Maybe it did. Maybe it pushed a couple people. But because it kind of matches my niche of kind of natural stuff like that, like it at least gives me something to post during the day. So that's just something to consider, is using a stock photo website. And if not, I mean, honestly, you could include pictures of little box mock-ups. So you get a little shipping box from FedEx Ship or whatever, their little store. You get a little white box and you put a couple products in it. And even if you don't end up using those products in your subscription, you can say, hey, these are some items that you might find in your subscription box from Diana's box. Garrett, thank you. I'm glad it was useful for you. Thanks for stopping by. Ronnie says, I have a box, but I did not do a pre-launch. We can't figure out how to get people to sign up, or even how to use the template, or even how to do the template. Excuse me. We have all social networks up. And we're already doing blog outreach. Do we do this backwards? Where do we start with Crachoy? What's regular page look like, and how do we get people to sign up? So Ronnie, it sounds like you've launched your Crachoy store, you've launched some type of store, and you haven't got a bunch of subscribers. It sounds like you might have done it backwards. So like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't done a pre-launch and you've executed it well, like the ones we're looking at right now, I would just restart, and try to get that initial interest. And I mean, if you're not getting traffic, you've got to start A/B testing your marketing language. I mean, that's the whole testing phase, the whole validating of your idea. Test your marketing language inside your Instagram page. I don't know what that looks like, but test more colors. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do. I would find it hard to believe that you're not getting any traffic. So look at the traffic, look at how it's converting, look at how long they're on their page. What actions are they taking? Are they clicking some specific button? There's some things that you can do to see really what people are doing and why they're doing it. I would suggest kind of testing those things. So that'd be my suggestion for you. So a lady asked, do you recommend the box to be a monthly subscription, or can it be every other month or 3 months? Lady, you can do quarterly, you can do bi-monthly, you can do monthly, whatever you prefer. The one thing that's really nice about CreateJoy is when you create a product in CreateJoy, it's very, very easy to set up those different variations. So do you charge them immediately at this point of the pre-order, even if you don't ship for 6 weeks? So Anjali, I think you're referencing this one, the step 2 here. Yes, you charge people when you're done with the pre-launch page and you've officially launched your CreateJoy store and you're accepting subscribers. Yeah, you're going to literally be charging people and you're going to be taking their money. That's going to be because you're going to be funding your business with that. Now, like I said, you got to make expectations very, very clear to these people. You got to be saying we're not shipping until November 1st. If you're taking people's money on October 1st, you don't want them to expect a box to be shipped out. So have a welcome email made. Make it clear in your FAQs. Make it clear on your homepage. Do stuff so they don't expect a box right away. So how do I figure out if my shipping costs are going to leave me enough money for products in the box? Heather, this is this is a really good question. I think that everybody, if you're still kind of listening in, I really suggest you to pay attention right now. If you Google CreateJoy pricing calculator, this is a pretty cool, nifty little tool the CEO made. And what this is a subscription box calculator that helps you determine your price. So what you should do is you should go to this page, plug in what you think you're going to be spending on products, plug in what you think you're going to be spending on shipping, your total cost of goods, and it's going to give you a suggested price. So for example, if you're spending about $19.95 a box to actually get all the products and ship it, your box price should be around $35. And the reason why is because that'll give you enough margin to pay for your other services and actually be able to pay yourself. CreateJoy offers a couple different shipping calculators for you to figure out, Heather. And so if you Google, for example, CreateJoy shipping calculator. My voice is just about gone. We'll do this for about 10 more minutes. Sorry, guys, I'm a little sick today. You can see how you can kind of figure out your shipping costs. We'll hit you with some pop-ups here. God, I hate pop-ups. And then at the bottom, you'll see your shipping costs, and it'll give you an estimation of different shipping zones. So you'll plug in all your information, and then you'll download this thing. This little sheet will populate here, and you can see how much you can expect to pay for shipping. And keep in mind too, Heather, with zones, zone 1 is whatever zone is closest to you. So zone 1 is different for people in California, then zone 1 is different for people in Austin, Texas, than it is in New York, et cetera, et cetera. Why did you drop your business? Gustavo, I get this question sometimes. Conscious Box was acquired and Escape Monthly was sold. And so that's why I left those businesses. My current business I do as a hobby. I work with CreateJoy because my history, I was a teacher for 5 years before. No, I shouldn't say a teacher, that glorifies it. I was a tutor for 5 years in the LAVC Community College District. And so I really liked educating. So I split my time between CreateJoy and running my own business. And I've got a couple of other startups that aren't related to subscription commerce that I also work on. So Darren asks, should you be ready to take on subscribers when your teaser page is up? You don't have to be ready. That's the teaser page is kind of the time to get ready. So so it looks like someone mentioned that there wasn't any sound. I hope the sound came back in for you. That was a question asked a while ago. So do you recommend offering a lead magnet in the pre-launch phase? Jay, I think you mean an incentive. I'm not completely sure with what you mean. A lead magnet. I mean, it sounds, I want to say yes, because that buzzword sounds like something that you want. But if you want to clarify, you can ask the question again and I'll answer it. So we've answered that question. How do I get brands to trust me and build relationships during the pre-launch? So Bethany, what I would suggest doing with that is putting together a little packet like this. Before I had this picture of my box and the products, I had just a group of products standing alone with no box next to it. So make something that looks professional. And I would say get their attention. Even if you only have 100 pre-subscribers and you're still a couple days into it, you can still reach out to people and say, hey, I'm looking to order 100 or 200 products this upcoming May. What kind of pricing can you offer me? So you can give them a big ballpark. Overestimate your order, and then as you get closer to the date, you can bring it down or you can push it up as you need. So Alexander says, do you have any suggestions for how to advertise during pre-launch? I've done Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Google+, etc., etc. everything I can think of. I just don't know how to reach the benchmark of 2,000, 5,000, 2,000 to 5,000 mailing list subscribers before launching. Alexandra, so I think this is a good question, and I notice a lot of people struggle with it for whatever reason. Um, I might try to find some brand partners. Find some different bloggers who have email lists and have them create a custom email and send out an invitation via email versus a blog post or versus a social shout out. Try to access more of their value. If you can send out an email to 10,000 people who love your type of product, you'll probably get a lot of good traffic. So, excuse me. So I might suggest doing something like that. Otherwise, like I said, maybe trying Facebook ads. Otherwise, push harder. I mean, I don't know how many hours you're spending on Instagram, but I got about 600 of my 800 pre-subscribers via Instagram, and the other 300 came from sharing. So I guess that'd be my other mention here is make sure that whatever you're doing on your pre-launch page, after people have pre-subscribed, there's some type of sharing incentive. Maybe it's another entry for the lifetime subscription. So Hamza doesn't have a question in this case. He's got a comment. Shiloh LaBeouf was arrested in Austin, Texas for yelling "Just do it" in the street while drunk. Well, at least he was trying to motivate people. Where can I get a copy of the slides? I missed the first three. The copy of the slides, AV, will be on Subscription School. How can you prepare for returns to ensure a positive return on investment? Jenna, it's all about that pre-launch phase. Make sure you get a lot of pre-subscribers. Out-of-pocket expenses will only give you about $1,500. I mean, you're not going to come out of you don't have to spend $10,000, $20,000. I mean, you don't need an angel investor to launch this type of business. So you have to do your pricing correctly, and you got to execute your pre-launch correctly. Do you think it's more effective to do a full product, not samples? Yeah, so Alina, I personally think it is. So Prosperly is all full-size products. I like that experience more. I think you get more qualified customers. That's going to change your price, though, so that's something to keep in mind. Casey, what about sourcing products? Is that covered in the Subscription School or on your site? Yeah, I would suggest going to Subscription School. We've got a lot of really great resources. You can find them in this product development section. I wrote this guide called 6 Resources for Subscription Box Procurement. You can get them on my blog. Also, a really good blog to check out will be Jameson's. So he used to be the head of growth here at Craigjoy, but he's full-time working on his business now because it's just kind of blown up. So he has a guide here, guide to subscription box product sourcing. This is a pretty straightforward guide. This is our old office in Santa Monica when we launched Conscious Box, our little 650 square foot office. And he was standing in front of our first shipment of boxes. Nostalgia. But he has a really good guide here with a couple steps of how to do product sourcing. So check out Jameson Morris, JamesonMorris.com, and he's got some guides there. But like I said, we've got a lot of really good guides on subscriptionschool.com, and we also have videos about this too. So I think I did that last week. Oh, no, it was actually 2 days ago. I did product sourcing for subscription boxes. There's a webinar from January I did on this, but there's also going to be a new webinar up today or tomorrow from earlier this week. Also for the webinars too, you can, I did that last week on the 8th. You can always go to the webinar section to see when the next upcoming webinar is for product sourcing. So how successful has the 10% off worked for Prosperly? It does kind of become irrelevant at some time on Jolly. It kind of is like at one point people are just like, okay, everybody gets this discount. But I use that because it kind of satisfies people who need to get a discount. In terms of the pre-launch page, it wasn't as good at converting as a lifetime subscription. So chat says, how do folks find the pre-launch page? So we kind of talked about that, chat. I would recommend going back. We're already about 10 minutes over, but I'm going to leave this slide up here. Niche blogger outreach, finding Instagram or social influencers, and using organic methods. You can kind of pick up some stuff that we talked about with some of these other questions. Maybe doing some Facebook ads. Maybe really pushing to find some brand partners and doing some partner emails. Yeah. So everybody who's asking for these slides and asking for the playbacks and asking for all of that stuff, that'll all be on Subscription School. The Subscription School link is just subscriptionschool.com. So Colby says, I skipped the pre-launch and I currently have my products and boxes ready to go. Should I wait a month for the pre-launch? Colby, if you don't have subscribers, totally. I mean, you're just ahead of the game. So Yale says, I have my trial version, but I don't know where to start with the design. Yale, just start practicing with it. I mean, start playing with colors. Just start getting it to look like the way you want it to look. I mean, it's just a matter of testing. I designed Prospally myself and had a developer implement my changes. And if you want to get a sense of that, go to entrepreneurship in subscription school, and you can read my guide. And literally, this is like my full. I get people ask me all the time. They're like, "Why the hell did you write this? Like, this is way too much information. You tell everybody everything about your business." But I mean, I'm an open person. So I wrote a full guide of how I went from coming up with my idea to coming up with the pre-launch to pushing early traffic to examples of posts to my peak and where I got signups, my conversion rate of this page, my total care conversion rate, some early emails, all this stuff. I go into like explicit detail, customizing my website. So if you want more examples of how to customize a website, yeah, I'll check that out. If you get branded items, do you recommend getting them from a wholesaler or directly from the brand? I always recommend sourcing directly from manufacturers, Hamza. What's the best payment option for UK business with UK residents? Use an international payment processor, Jennifer. I think Braintree does international. It's the same thing as Stripe, you know. Yeah, Cratejoy also provides a whole website. Ritish, sorry, I pronounced your name terribly wrong. Yeah, they have a website builder, so you can make a website that looks just like the one you see on the right. This is my original theme, Booksy, and this is how I customized it. So you can build a website with Cratejoy. Yeah. So Alexander says, can you get on the Cratejoy marketplace if you're paying for Cratejoy but are still doing your pre-launch? They don't put up pre-launch pages on there because the marketplace is a place to actually buy items, but you can. I mean, the marketplace is totally free. I don't use ShipStation. I personally use Postage Pirate or Pirate Ship, but Cratejoy's native shipping platform is really powerful too. Can you have an e-commerce and a subscription site with Cratejoy? Sort of. I mean, you can have a store on Cratejoy, which are one-time items. So absolutely, I would definitely suggest hiring a developer to make it look much nicer, Lisa. But you absolutely can have a traditional e-commerce stream of revenue using a Cratejoy theme. What would you recommend using instead of WooCommerce that would be free and similar? Vincent, I would just say suck up the cost and use Cratejoy. It's gonna be so much easier for you. Um, that WooCommerce plugin is just so, I have never heard a good story about it. Every subscription box owner, that's the one thing I've never used. So I don't have direct experience, but the reason I've never used it is because I've literally never heard one good thing about it. So I would shell out $40 a month for Cratejoy. It'd be so much more worth it. The amount of time you'll save, if you value your time, then use Cratejoy instead. So Roni said, bloggers posted about us, but we have no place for people to subscribe. Oh no, do I shut down and go to launch? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to give them somewhere to go. So if you don't have a place to subscribe, then you should have a pre-launch page or something. So Yale from Israel here. I think we chatted over email, by the way. How do you convince the industry to give you the product for free? I don't recommend doing free product sampling anymore, but if you do, you've got to have a really compelling pitch. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's product feedback, maybe it is some cool thing you offer them. They get to put some inserts in the box. I mean, Yale, you can come up with a couple different ideas there, but it really comes down to adding value for those businesses. Should I really shut down my business, says Ronnie. I mean, I don't think you should shut down your business, but if you don't have a lot of subscribers, you have 0 subscribers, I would just, all you have to do is hide your domain and put up a pre-launch page. And you just get pre-subscribers. I mean, you're not shutting down your business. You're just creating leads. You could even leave your normal page up and then have a subdomain like join.ronniesbusiness.com and then start promoting that link everywhere as just a dedicated page for lead generation. All right, I'll do this for about 2 more minutes. I don't think I can speak anymore. Camila asks, should I start my launch just shipping nationally or just shipping internally from the start of my launch? I suggest shipping domestically, Camila. I think that answers your question. Lorenzo says Fiverr for logo design. Yeah, you could totally use Fiverr or something like that. Regina says, hi, Jesse. Hi, guys. I'm in the UK. A lot of packaging companies in the US. Are you aware of any in London? Regina, I don't, but currently I'm doing this survey with all Cratejoy merchants, including UK merchants, about the best manufacturers. And so if you follow us on Cratejoy and follow us on Subscription School, you'll get those results here in the next week. So I don't have an answer for you now, but I will shortly. So Latosha says, I'm looking for certain warehouses for fitness items, but I haven't found the items that I want to put my boxer from overseas. Any suggestions on products? I would suggest checking out the webinars. Oh, Camila says, oops, internationally. I would suggest just starting off domestically, Camila. We launched Shopify for them to buy individual boxes. Oh, Ronnie, okay. We did not launch with Cratejoy yet. Oh, so you're just doing one-time sales. Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, I mean, if you have a Shopify store up for just one-time boxes, I mean, all you're doing is a glorified e-commerce store, putting everything in a branded box. So you're not really a subscription business. So if you can use your Shopify page and put up a launch page, or you can do something cool on Shopify to get a bunch of leads, then you can use the page still, Ronnie. But I would suggest getting as many people amped about a subscription, because that's going to be recurring revenue. Any resources on decent quality but reasonably priced logo development? Maritza, I would go into the resources section, and if not, you can use stuff like Graphic River. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Graphic River is a part of the Envato market, and you can use logos from them, and you can buy them for like $3. I think also what is it? Oh yeah, no, it's Graphic River. But you can buy little logos, and you can find stuff, and then you can slightly customize them. Ooh, look at that nice fox logo. Can you use Cratejoy if you're based in Canada? Yep. Do you recommend including the cost of shipping? I do. I like to say free shipping, but you don't have to do that. So Hamza says, when people have hit the thank you page, do you recommend giving people free gifts or referrals for referrals? Yeah, definitely incentivize referrals somehow. I used referrals as an extra entries for the lifetime subscription giveaway. How might I handle my homemade products that are in the basis of my box? William, so you'll make them the same way. You'll pack them in your own box. What I would do if you make handmade products is make some really nice pictures of them and put them on your launch page, and make it clear that people are getting your own branded handmade items. Diana, thank you for telling me to get well soon. I appreciate it. Chad says WooCommerce is terrible. So thank you, Chad, for validating my assumption and validating what I've heard. So Chad says, yeah, keep away from WooCommerce. Lorenzo, you're welcome. Glad it was useful for you guys. Tim, when taking a picture of sample products that may be used in your subscription box, are there any violations if it's a name brand product? No, I mean, you could reach out to those brands and say, hey, I want to use your product in my shot. Is it all right with you? I would also love to find out if you want to be in the box. And I did that for all the brands I used for the Prosperly pre-launch, and a couple of them never got back to me. A couple of them said, yeah, it's totally fine. A couple of them actually ended up being in the first box. So as long as you reach out to them, I don't think you have anything to worry about. So that's all the questions we have. We're about 20 minutes over, so I'm going to go wrap this up. Thank you guys for attending. Again, this webinar will be available on Subscription School in the video section. Thank you guys for all the thank yous and all the kind words you're leaving me right now. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go put my face above a pot of boiling water and breathe in some steam and eat a Ricola. But if you guys have any other questions, like I said, head over to the Subscription School Facebook page. I'm gonna make the post about the group as soon as I end this webinar. So if you guys want to get in that group, I'm gonna post it, and then in the next hour I'll start to approve you guys. So. Colby says, try my tea subscription. Colby, leave me a link on Subscription School. I'll check it out, and maybe I'll subscribe. I love tea. So one of my startups is a tea company. So I will be happy to try that out. All right, thank you guys so much. And thank you for all these suggestions. Hamza says, mix a teaspoon of honey with hot water and drink it. Thank you guys. All right, you guys have a good rest of your day, and I look forward to hearing from you guys again.